What I Learned in Adolescence, a presentation by Molly Green for Brandman University, PSYU 324. Chapter 1 literally opens with Jeffrey Dahmer's troubled adolescence, which is about as much foundation as we need to understand why it's important for adults to have a better grasp on adolescent psychology. What really resonated with me in this introduction was what the author said about the prevalence of negative adolescent stereotypes. There's so much intergenerational bashing going on in our society right now, particularly between the millennials and the baby boomers, and it all stems from negative stereotypes. It's important to remember that just as not every millennial spends a down payment on avocado toast, not every teen is lazy or rebellious. Stereotypes can ultimately be harmful to kids. I guess maybe that's where Jeffrey Dahmer comes in. Chapter 2. I love sleep. Truly. I didn't appreciate it until I became a parent to a child who thinks sleep is worse than eating broccoli. That's probably why I'm so drawn to anything that encourages sleep. According to the Santrock text, too little sleep is linked to things like academic deficiencies, less efficient information processing, a greater incidence of emotional, mood, and substance abuse problems, as well as poorer relationships with peers. Chapter 3. If kids need to do homework, multitasking with their electronic devices will reduce their ability to focus on the task at hand. Research also shows that lots of time multitasking with digital media is linked to lousy memory and decreased volume in the cerebral cortex. So yes, ditch those devices, kids. And adults, we know we're guilty. Chapter 4. According to our textbook, a longitudinal study indicated that low self-esteem in early adolescence was linked to lower levels of mental and physical health, worse economic prospects, and a higher level of criminal behavior at 26 years of age. So yes, self-esteem is important. Chapter 5. Because trans individuals experience considerable discrimination, it's important that society provide a more welcoming and accepting attitude toward them. I will shout this from the rooftops every chance I get because it's so important. It's not just trans people either. It's gay people, people of color, immigrants. Basically, stop to consider whether a person's civil rights have ever been subject to a Supreme Court decision or a popular vote. And if the answer is yes, stop judging and be kind. Chapter 6. In a study of 20-somethings, the following sexual scripts came into play. Men are always ready for sex. Women inhibit their sexual expression. Men have a physical approach to sex. Women have an emotional, relational approach to sex. Women should especially have oral sex skills. Men initiate sex. Women are the gatekeepers who set the limits. Single women who appear sexual are judged negatively. Men are rewarded for being sexual. Kohlberg's moral development stages are pretty spot on. Basically, we have level 1, where you share your toys because I said so. Level 2, where you share because you care what others think about you. And level 3, where you share because it makes the world a better place. Is anyone surprised to learn that only 10 to 15% of adults make it to level 3? Speaking of sharing, siblings are overrated. At least that's what I'm going to keep telling myself and my daughter. According to our textbook, one study of 384 adolescent sibling pairs revealed that 65% of their mothers and 70% of their fathers showed favoritism toward one sibling. When favoritism toward one sibling occurred, it was linked to lower self-esteem and sadness in the less favored sibling. Chapter 9. A quote from our textbook says, "Lesbian couples especially place a high priority on equality in their relationships." Am I allowed to make jokes about this? Because seriously, as a woman who is married to another woman, I always tell my female friends who are in relationships with men and complain that their husbands never help with the kids, that what they really need is a wife. Chapter 10. Kids with ADHD are consistently inattentive, hyperactive, and/or impulsive. We can all probably think of a kid who meets those criteria, but they don't all have ADHD. According to our book, for an ADHD diagnosis, onset of these characteristics early in childhood is required, and the characteristics must be debilitating for the child. Debilitating for the child. Not necessarily debilitating for the parent, teacher, or babysitter. That's a really important detail. Chapter 11. Start that college fund ASAP. And actually put money in it regularly. The less kids have to work to pay college tuition, the better they're likely to do in school. It's worth it. Chapter 12. I honestly don't think I did this much daily household labor as a teen. Are we sure people aren't inflating these numbers a bit? I say, more chores, please. Chapter 13. Watch your kids. Having a good relationship with your teen and being involved with their lives may help keep them from using drugs. That should be all the encouragement we need to take everything we've learned about adolescent psychology and use it in any way we can to help improve parent-teen relationships.